My name is Alice Ulman, and this is my resurrection story. I grew up in Detroit, born and raised in Detroit about the first 17 years, by a single mom. I was the baby of the family. I was the brat. I was the one who got away with everything because I was the littlest. I was what you consider the ghetto kid. We bounced around from different schools, so I lacked in education quite a bit. My mom passed away somewhere when I was around 14. For me, I was at that rebellious hormonal age, so I thought it was a good idea that I could do everything myself, so I started to live on the streets. But then I thought, well, I'd play house. Well, I didn't think about it. I tried getting married and having children. I had gotten pregnant at 16. By the time I was 17, I was in an abandoned house, and I ended up giving her up for adoption because I couldn't feed her. Thinking back, I think it was that postpartum depression that was just undiagnosed. And I ended up wanting to go change my roots completely, so I hitchhiked to San Diego, California, and lived there for a few months. While I was there, I was 17, and the courts decided that it would be better for me if I was an emancipated adult. So they emancipated me at 17, and so that I could get a job. I just thought that I could get more food stamps. I still wasn't maturing, I think. In hindsight, I've learned a lot. But from there, I bounced back through Detroit and ended up in New York City. So I lived on 59th and Madison Avenue. How cool. So I went from one ocean to the other within a matter of a year. I also got pregnant again. We left there, got broke. He lost his job drinking. A lot of drinking involved. It was just the atmosphere. I saw other people go to work and pay jobs, pay and get taxes and buy houses. I didn't quite grasp the responsibility part of it. So from there, we moved back to Detroit to Warren, and we got a house because the guy I married, he had 4 other kids. So I ended up being a mom at 19 of 5 kids. I had gotten pregnant again, and I had a son, Stephen Michael, and he only lived 12 hours. So they told me that at that time when I was pregnant with him not to have any more children because they had asked me to have an abortion at that time for him because I would die or he would die. And I said, I can't. That's God's job. And so I lived, and he ended up living for 12 hours. From there, things went bad real quick. I found out he would get in blackouts and beat me. And with that, I thought I couldn't do that. So I left. He had taken my son up north somewhere. I remember just getting on a bus and landing in Toledo because I didn't know where else to go. I worked on impulse. I didn't tend to think things through. I would pray a lot. I was born and raised Catholic. We went to church and all those things. And I learned how to say the Our Father and all the Hail Marys and Act of Contrition and things like that. And I think that was the glue that I had, that thread that I hung on to. That was that M of the garment, you know. I think if that wasn't in my life, I'd so be dead. Terrible things that did happen, I knew were repercussions of my choices. And later on, I understood that better. But for the time being, I just kept rolling around like a marble in a pinball machine. I got a divorce and ended up back in Michigan, went to work and had lost custody of that son. And just worked and full of resentment, full of anger, full of the way my life was going. I started drinking and doing drugs a whole lot more, to the point where there was nothing left of me. And I remember not wanting to go back to church because I didn't feel worthy enough. But at the same time, I knew I had to do something because I was at a stalemate in life. So I wrote God a letter and said, Dear Lord, I remember that letter to this day. Nobody never forget that letter. But I wrote him and I told him to please let me have his will be done. I am done with mine. I am done messing up my life. Please take it and do what you want with it. It seemed like after that, the boyfriend I had got court ordered to AA. And he kind of nudged me, you know, this is a good idea. And lo and behold, they at those 12-step meetings, they mentioned God, and may you find him now. So that was off to my spiritual trek of going to different churches. I didn't feel comfortable in the one I had, grew up with. So I went looking for other ones. I found a Lutheran church. From there, things got better. I got more stable. My mind and my thinking between the 12 steps and Christ back in my life. My thinking started to clear and make more sense, and I made better decisions. By ending up in this place and that place, there was some very scary times. But I knew that absolute knowledge that I was taken care of and that I was a child of God. And he does have a house for us. And there was times I thought it was the basement. But I still knew I was going to be there. When I got married to Earl and we had Jennifer, she was definitely my miracle because I wasn't supposed to have any more children. And a couple years ago, I found my daughter who I gave up for adoption. My son came back into my life when I lost him in a divorce. And so a couple years ago, I have a picture of my children, and all my kids said, "It looks like your heart's back," because my heart did come back. I have all my children with me because I know Stephen's still with me because God's holding him till I get there. When they say his grace is sufficient, it is overwhelmingly majestic. My son moved from Fort Campbell. He moved down here to Tennessee, and he knew how much I detested. Snow is fun on Christmas, but really I'm done shoveling, I'm too old. He said, "Come on down to Tennessee." I came down here, and there weren't very many Lutheran churches. They were far and few between. A friend in AA said, there's a CR program down here up at the Waverly Church, Nazarene. Go by and see them. The people who really influenced me to coming to this church were Pastor Annetta when I met her, when I was starting to come to CR, Jana and Doris, and Pastor Chuck. And the more I started running into them at the store, this and that, they were the same genuinely happy, good-hearted people. And someone said, "Why don't you stop by our church on Sunday?" And I heard Pastor Darren and Pastor Mary, and it was like they were talking exactly to me. And I loved it. And the people were so genuinely kind, genuinely warm and welcoming. And not that nosy kind that you know they're waiting for something, but genuinely kind and full of love. And I just felt like I found my home. How I serve in the church, I learned early on with the 12-step program that I went to. They said you had to give up, let go, let God, and serve. And that's embedded in me. So when I came to church and they asked if you would be willing to serve, I must always be willing to serve. And I don't have a great education. I did go back for my GED. I serve what I do know how to do, and I do know how to clean. I do know how to be a help. I'm not good at a supervisory thing, but I can help move chairs. I can help cut communion. I like to host. I like to say good morning. I enjoy seeing people come into the church, and I love to watch the life of the church. So I really enjoy getting here early so I can see people come in and even watch as the minutes count down the last ones that rush in. It's so cool hearing the murmur and the church coming alive and getting together. If it can be done and I'm available, I love to, because I always want to be able to give back what was given to me. And I can't do it by sitting in a chair at home. I'm Alice Ulman. I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me.